It is said that the hills of Saint Lucia hum with the voices of the past. The very soil beneath the islanders' feet carries whispers of rebellion, survival, and spirits that refuse to rest. But no tale is as chilling or as captivating as the legend of the Jumbie Drums. According to the elders, these drums are not mere instruments. They are the pulse of the land, the heartbeat of ancestors who once walked the earth. Some say they were brought by the first enslaved Africans who set foot on Saint Lucian shores, their rhythms carrying both defiance and sorrow. Others believe the drums are older still, tied to a world that existed before man's first breath. But one thing remains certain. When the Jumbie Drums play, the veil between the living and the dead grows perilously thin. This is the story of how two boys, driven by curiosity and reckless adventure, awakened those rhythms and nearly shattered the fragile balance of their island. Anse-la-Raye, a fishing village a short drive from Castries, felt untouched by time. Wooden houses, painted in hues of turquoise, yellow, and coral, lined the narrow streets. The scent of salt and frying plantains drifted through the air, mixing with the steady rhythm of the waves. Here, stories weren't just told. They lived in the wind, in the ocean, in the knowing eyes of the elders. 13-year-old Micah Pierre had heard them all. Raised by his grandmother, Mama Elise, after his parents drowned in a boating accident, he spent his days wandering the forests and streams, seeking adventure. He was restless, fearless, and too quick to dismiss the old ways. "You laugh now," Mama Elise warned one humid evening, her bony fingers peeling peas on the porch. "But if you ever hear the Jumbie Drums, you won't be laughing. Those spirits don't play games, Micah. They will take what they're owed." Micah smirked, rocking back on the wooden steps. "Come on, Grandma. No one's seen a Jumbie in years." Mama Elise's hands stilled. She didn't look up, but her voice dropped to a whisper. "Not seeing doesn't mean they're not there." A breeze passed through, stirring the wind chimes hanging from the rafters. The sound sent an uneasy shiver down Micah's spine. But he shook it off. Jumbies weren't real. They were just stories. A week later, heavy clouds loomed over the village, thick with the promise of rain. Micah and his best friend, Kadim, decided it was the perfect day for an adventure. "You sure this is a good idea?" Kadim muttered, as they pushed through the dense undergrowth. He was shorter and stockier than Micah, always cautious but never willing to back down. "When have my ideas not been good?" Micah grinned. Kadim scoffed. "Mango tree, old well, beehive. Okay. Micah laughed. "But this is different. We're looking for something real." Their search led them deeper into the forest, where the canopy thickened, turning midday into twilight. The air was heavy, the scent of damp earth clinging to their skin. Then they found it. A narrow opening in the hillside, hidden behind a curtain of vines. Micah's pulse quickened. "Let's check it out." Kadim hesitated. "Micah, some caves are home to Jumbies." Micah snorted. "Your uncle also said he once caught a fish the size of a canoe." Still, as they stepped inside, the air changed. It grew cooler, still. Their footsteps echoed against the stone walls. Then, deep within the cavern, they saw them. 3 ancient drums standing in a circle on a raised platform of rock. Their surfaces were cracked and worn, strange symbols carved into the wood. The very sight of them sent a shiver down Micah's spine. "These must be the Jumbie Drums," he whispered. Kadim tugged his arm. "We shouldn't be here." But Micah was already reaching out. His fingers brushed the smallest drum, and before Kadim could stop him, he struck it. The sound was deep and resonant, like thunder trapped in the earth. The cave trembled, The air grew dense, and then the whispers began. Soft at first, a murmur at the edge of hearing. Then they grew, overlapping, building, a chorus of voices, too many to count. Outside, the wind howled through the trees, though the air inside the cave remained eerily still. The shadows along the walls twisted, stretching in ways that defied logic. Kadim grabbed Micah's arm. "Did you hear that?" Before Micah could answer, a figure stepped from the darkness. It was a man, or something that resembled one. His body shimmered, as though woven from smoke and moonlight. His eyes glowed faintly, ancient and unreadable. "You have awakened the drums," the spirit said, his voice layered with echoes, as if a dozen voices spoke at once. Micah's breath hitched. "We didn't mean to. We were just curious." The spirit's face twisted, unreadable. "The drums are not to be touched by the living. They guard the balance between worlds. You have undone what was meant to remain sealed." The whispers grew into a roar. Outside, the forest trembled, the sound of distant drumming rising like a heartbeat. Kadim yanked at Micah's sleeve. "We have to get out of here, now." They bolted, crashing through the undergrowth, but the forest had changed. The trees loomed taller, their branches clawing at the sky. Shadows darted at the edges of their vision, and behind them, the drumming followed. They reached Mama Elise's house, panting, their faces pale with terror. She was already waiting on the porch, her expression grim. "You touched the drums," she said. It wasn't a question. Micah's chest tightened. I didn't know." "No, you didn't think," she said sharply. "And now the Jumbies are free." Kadim swallowed hard. "How do we stop them?" Mama Elise's eyes softened. "You must return to the cave and play the drums again, but with the rhythm of balance. It is the only way to send them back." Micah's stomach clenched. "But what's the rhythm?" "You must listen." Mama Elise pressed a hand over his heart. "The drums will tell you. Trust yourself." They returned to the cave, now alive with glowing figures and ghostly laughter. The Jumbies swayed, caught in the pull of unseen music. Micah stepped forward, hands trembling. He closed his eyes. He listened. And then he played. The rhythm poured from his fingertips, guided not by thought, but by something deeper. The cave pulsed with energy. Outside, the Jumbies paused. Their glowing forms flickered. The final beat echoed. And then, silence. The spirits faded. The forest stilled. The balance was restored. The next morning, Micah and Kadim sat on the porch, drained but wiser. Mama Elise studied them, eyes twinkling. "You've learned, I hope?" Micah nodded. "I'll never touch another drum again." She chuckled. "The drums weren't the problem. Disrespect was. The past isn't gone. It lives in the land, the stories, the rhythms. Respect them, or suffer the consequences." And though the Jumbie drums remained silent, their rhythm lived on, in the heartbeats of those who remembered. If you like this story, please subscribe to our channel for more. Thank you.